Hey everyone, Angela Caban here. Thank you for joining me. This is part 2 of going back to school for military spouses. Now, I've been meaning to do another video of these because from the first part that I had done, I received a lot of email and feedback from you with more questions, and it had to do a lot more with the post 9/11 GI Bill, the transferability over from the service member to the spouses, as well as just what exactly the post 9/11 covers for spouses as well as the service members. So I did make some notes just because there are about a ton of websites that you can go on and get this information. The VA has a good source on their website, as well as military.com, and we're going to be adding one to the HUN as well. And I'm also going to be posting some links below this video here on the Homefront United website so that you can kind of go over and make your list or whatever you need in order to get yourself situated. So as I said in my first video, I have been a full-time college student since July of 2008, and October 21st, 2011, which is this October, in just less than 60 days, I will be graduating with my bachelor's in business administration and human resources. So 3 years later, and I have obtained my 4-year degree. Pretty much how did I do that? Just a really quick recap of the first video. I did an accelerated online program through DeVry University. Now again, I'm not paid to advertise for DeVry. It's just my personal experience that I've had with them. And if I may say to the spouses out there that perhaps were in my situation where I was not able to use my husband's transfer for the post 9/11 benefits because he was using his GI Bill. So what happened was that I pretty much did have to take out loans. I have some grants as well that I had qualified for. But on top of that, I do want to share with you that DeVry University gives over 55% of a military discount. So what happens with that is that your tuition is reduced, and I actually end up getting money back every semester from the school. And what I mean by that is I get back anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000 a semester from school just for going to school. Now, of course, I put some of that money aside and I save it for paying off my student loans in the future. And sometimes some of the money will go towards something else, that whatever's going on here in the house, because I don't receive a stipend for going to school that the post 9/11 GI Bill would give your service member or the spouse that transfers over the benefits. So it's a really great little perk of going back to school as well, especially if you think you really can't afford it. My advice to you is to please do your research, whether you go on an online campus or you go to a brick and mortar, which is an actual building, and make sure that you inquire about their military discounts, because if you can save even 20% of tuition, that is a very big savings. That might right there take whatever cost you might have to pay out of pocket, and even if you don't get any money back at the end of the semester, you'll end up not having to owe a penny, because even with student loans, a lot of times students have to end up paying anywhere from $800 to $1,200 a semester, and that does get costly when it adds up. But another thing, because I am not stopping right here with my bachelor's, the Monday after I graduate, I'm going to be starting my MBA in, again, business administration and human resources with the same university. So what happens with that is that all my student loans and grants, even though I've received enough funds for the bachelor program, it'll now transfer over to the master's program, and the government will fund me for an additional amount of credits, and that will pay for my schooling. And of course, all my loans get deferred until I'm completed with my master's program. So if, for instance, you only wanted to get your bachelor's, you have 6 months, I believe, yes, 6 months to pay back your student loans. And of course, they'll calculate that all with, depending on the bank. I have Sallie Mae, so again, it just depends on how you can work that out with them, and they will keep you updated every semester, sending you paperwork. So first things first, make sure you inquire about the military discount if you are not eligible for the post 9/11, or if your husband or your wife or your family member is using it. At least you know that there is a way that you can afford to go to school. A lot of times I hear people say, I can't afford to go to school, and there are seriously people that can't afford it, but then there are people that they say they can't afford it, but yet they have not done their research, which is kind of sad, because there are just so many opportunities, especially for military spouses today and age, to really take advantage of. And you really should be speaking with the school representatives, and all the schools should have a VA representative, whether or not you're using the GI Bill or not. They will be able to assist you as a military spouse in those benefits. So that's that part. I did make some notes here just because I didn't want to forget anything. I always have notes because, again, I did receive a lot of emails from you guys in regards to what I did and what you can possibly do. Okay, well, pretty much what the first question I received was, what is the post 9/11 GI Bill? Now, the post 9/11 GI Bill is different from the GI Bill. Most service members that are eligible for the post 9/11 GI Bill, you have to have 90 days of active duty service on or before September 11th, 2001. So if you have that time in as active duty service, then you will qualify for the post 9/11. Now, of course, there are ways to calculate how much time and how much money you will receive for that, which is fine, but again, that's something that I can't answer. You're going to have to use the calculator online, and I will provide that link as well for you below. So let me see here. I have other notes that I made. And then what will it pay for eligible individuals? It pretty much will pay for all your tuition and your fees, any type of housing fees that you might have on campus. It'll also give you something called an MHA, which is a monthly housing allowance, almost like a stipend. I believe my husband and I, since he's on the post 9/11, they'll give him a certain amount to the school to pay off for the schooling, and then we'll get an additional, I'm not even sure what it is for us, but an additional, like, let's say $1,000 a month to cover your housing fees. Even though sometimes that's not what it covers, it's still an additional fee to help you. It provides for the travel back and forth to school and things like that. And yeah, that also goes for the spouse, if the spouse is transferring over. And of course, that's books, any type of materials that the school might provide you. And I believe it's about $1,000 of the stipend. I can double check with that with you guys. And also on the website I provide, we'll have a breakdown of exactly, because it does go, again, by your years of service, how much active duty time you have accrued and all that. So that's pretty much with that. Now, in order to transfer the GI, the post 9/11, you have to have at least 6 years of service. Now, that, again, if that goes for someone that just enlisted and your spouse wants to use your benefits, well, you don't qualify for that yet because you don't have 6 years of service in. And then again, it does get very particular to what they mean by that, because it goes by the dates and the approval dates. And again, I will include all that information for you guys, because I know it can be a little confusing at first. But if the bill is sitting there and your spouse is not using it and they have no plan on using it, speak with your spouse about it. It might make more sense for you to use it now while they're still in their military career, or perhaps they know that they're not going to use it within 10 years. Well, check the eligibility date, because the GI Bill also runs out and they will have a delimitation date. So you're going to have to check with your VA representative as when it will run out. I believe my husband's, if he didn't use his, he has up until 2014 to use it, which he has used it and he's almost done using it. But it's good that you know that information, because a lot of times what happens is that a service member will leave the military and then 10 years later say, oh, I want to go to school, and then they think they have the GI Bill, and then they go back to the VA and the VA says, I'm sorry, your GI Bill's, expired on this date. Whether or not that's fair, I'm not going to say, but just make sure that you have all that information. It's better to just be educated on the topic. Okay, now a little bit on who can use the transfer of benefits. Now, pretty much the easiest way I can explain it is anybody who is enrolled in the DEERS system who has an ID card. So in other words, it would be the spouse, it would be the dependent children. It's as simple as that. Your uncles can't use it, your mother-in-laws can't use it. It has to be a dependent enrolled in the DEERS eligibility system. So that's as simple as that gets. Now, again, with that is how to apply for it. You do have to use the Department of Defense website, and I believe, I forget what the number of the form is, it's the DD2 something. There's so many different forms out there, but it's very simple. Usually the VA rep will contact you. What we ended up doing for someone that wanted information on it is we gave them the contact number, and she was actually able to contact the VA rep directly, which helped her move the process a little quicker, because if anybody knows, dealing with the VA, sometimes it's not a very quick or smooth process. So you kind of have to stay on top of it and make sure that you, again, just really stay on top of what's going on in order to do that. But other than that, I do always advise people to just read up on the benefits and make sure that any questions that they might have beforehand, they do get their answers for that, because it just makes the process so much quicker in the end, and things like that. Okay, so other than that, some other questions that I did get were just in regards to loans and things like that. Like, what is a FAFSA? How do I apply for financial aid? Now, the FAFSA is the free, believe it's the financial aid free application, something, it stands for something like that. And you could do that off the website. I believe if you just do, I think it's FAFSA.org, or even if you just go on Google and hit FAFSA, it'll give you the main website on there. And you don't have to necessarily apply, but you can go on there and see what you might be eligible for. And again, it's based off of your income, so you do need your, so if you're applying for 2012 now, which that would be the next school year, you would need your I believe you can use your 2010 taxes, but also make note that every year you do need your new tax forms in order to qualify again for any financial aid. And as well as that, I always say, once you found the school that interests you, you know what you want to go for, go into their, it doesn't even need to be a VA rep, but just go into their financial aid department, or the office that they have set up on campus, and talk to them about the different types of grants that their school might be offering, whether you're a spouse, a single parent, a woman, you know, a man, child, whatever. There's a lot of different grants that the school might be able to offer you, as well as state grants. I know when I lived in Pennsylvania, we didn't qualify for any Pennsylvania state grants, but now that I'm in New Jersey, back in New Jersey, there's a couple of New Jersey state grants that we do qualify, which is awesome because it's, again, additional funding that helps. Yes, you have to, well, the grants we don't have to pay back, but the additional funding we do. And for instance, like the Pell Grant, we do qualify for that. And I believe my husband qualifies for an additional grant. I'd have to ask him the name of it. Because he is military. So there's a lot of resources out there. So like I had, again, I mentioned it in my first video, I'll mention it here. It's kind of just one of those things where you have to really set your mind to it. I know I did. My husband was the one that pushed me, because if not, I probably would have been like everybody else, saying I just don't have the time and I don't have the money for it. And again, I really wouldn't have seen myself 3 years later, only 3 years later, saying, you know, I'm graduating next month, which is that's pretty insane to me. But other than that, if you have any questions or additional concerns, please feel free to post them below this video here, or you can shoot me a personal email to Angela@angelacaban.com, and I'd be more than happy to answer your questions, whether it be something that you need to know with the VA or the DoD, or just on a personal note on how I did things, on how, you know, I found the time to study, you know, with at the time a 2-3-year-old running around and all that, and I'd be more than happy to share that information with you. And I hope you found this vlog resourceful with the information that you all needed. So I will be looking forward to your comments, and again, I will make another video if it is needed, if you need some additional information. But good luck to you if you are definitely planning on going back to school, continuing your education. I wish you lots of luck. It is definitely a wonderful journey, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.